Today is July 16th, 2013, about 11 a.m., and we're sitting with Terry Winslow.
All right. Thank you for coming in, especially on such short notice.
Well, I'm happy to do it. I'm glad I was in town.
Yeah, it worked out very well.
Yeah.
If you don't mind starting, are you from Craig?
Born right here, 1940, July 5th.
July 5th, okay. And were you born in the hospital?
There was no
Hayden?
hospital.
Right.
I was born here and just in a home.
Oh, in a home.
And it was oh, help me here, midwife.
Okay.
It was a home.
All right.
And when I was born, it cost $10.50.
$10.50.
Yeah, and it cost an extra 50 cents because my mother had to stay another half a day.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I wish I knew the address. I could tell you the address, but I can't think of it.
Oh, that's no problem. Okay, so it wasn't your parents' home? It was just like a...
That's right. It was
okay.
a midwife's home.
Midwife's home. Okay, that's interesting. Was that common? Is that a common occurrence?
Right. It wasn't Craig. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of Craig people were born in Hayden.
Right.
But there was a lot of them that were just. I know there was a midwife's home out on the airport road from here, and there were a couple here in town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, if we can start with your childhood, what was it like growing up in Craig early on?
Well, early on, probably we had. Let me see. We had from birth until about. Let me see. That would have been 1948.
Mm-hmm.
We lived right here, and then my folks bought a place at Pop's Place, which is a mile the other side of 2 miles the other side of Blue Mountain, Colorado.
Okay.
And 6 miles this side of Dinosaur.
Okay.
So they had that. So for 2 years we lived there, and then my folks moved right back here. And from late 50s, we were here until for 60 years. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was a great place to grow up. We had neighborhood just empty lots, and that's where we played ball, whether it was football or baseball or softball or what it. So and kick a can at night, and
right.
There was no TVs.
Right. Right.
So it was a great place to grow up.
Okay.
And Jan's brothers and sisters, they were about the same age, and matter of fact, I just had breakfast with a young lady who used to play ball with us, and she said, "Yeah, some of the girls were as good athletes as the boys," and she was right. Yeah. But
okay.
In that, where I was raised, was what they called Rosedale Edition.
A Rosedale Edition. Okay.
And that was Colorado Street.
The east side, right?
East side.
Okay. And what was school like?
School was great.
School was good.
I started, like I said, I went about a year and a half down in Dinosaur, but
right.
The rest of it was right up here at the Champa School.
Okay.
Right here, and then the next street over is Breeze. And up there was the Breeze Junior High building. That's where we went to junior high.
Okay.
And that was great. And with all those people that I went to school with, I still keep in touch with probably 20 or 25 of them regularly.
Wow.
So I call them personally and find out how they're doing. So it was a great place to grow up because it was so. It wasn't small like some towns, but I mean, we knew everybody.
Right.
We knew their families, and then I had quite a. When I was still in high school, I had the opportunity to go to work for a fellow named Roy Grounds, and he had the local house-to-house milk delivery business.
Okay.
So I knew everybody.
Right.
When you deliver everybody's milk, you know where everybody is, how many kids they have, the whole thing. So.
All right.
And anybody here can tell you about Roy Grounds, because there was, I would say, through those years, there were probably 50 young men worked for him delivering milk off the truck.
Wow. So it wasn't just a summer job? No.
This is summer, winter, kind of like a postman.
All right.
Rain or shine.
I meant for the students, for the kids. They worked year round with him too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I always got up about 4 to 5, and then about 10 minutes to 8, I would get off the milk truck over on Rose Street, and then I would run about 6 blocks to the house, and I would eat and change clothes and go to school. So.
Okay.
$14 a week.
Wow.
$2 a day and $4 on Saturday.
Wow. $14 a week.
$14 a week. That's how I bought my first car. $14 a week.
How old were you?
60. Well, I started doing that job when I wasn't driving age yet, probably 14 and a half, 15.
Okay.
and then I did until I was out of school.
Okay.
1959.
All right. That's really interesting. And what type of extracurricular activities were there after school?
Jobs.
Work, really.
I worked at this building right across the street over here with Safeway.
Oh, right.
So I worked there for Leonard Robinson, and I still know him. Worked for him that with one of the summer jobs when I was 16. After delivering milk, and I see him probably at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of in charge of the Moffat County picnic in Grand Junction.
Right.
So every summer we have from 50 to 100 Moffat County people show up to a Moffat County picnic down there.
Oh, wow.
So that's good. And then I worked at a local service station too on the off nights.
Mm-hmm.
It was an Enco service station, and then I worked at another little grocery store when I wasn't busy there, Eastside Market.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always had jobs, and then if I didn't have one, my mother would find me one.
Right.
And once in a while, I'd have to tell my mother, "Don't do me any more favors. Don't get me any more jobs. I've got enough."
Right. Right. What was the town like? What were the people like?
I mean, it was hard to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because everybody knew everybody.
Right.
Sometimes that's not the best, but most of the time it is because. An example, I'll give you a good example. One day when I was probably 14 or 15, not driving yet, but my younger brother was on the handlebars of my bike, and we're headed home, and we hit a rock and flipped over, and his head come down on a big rock and just opened his head up, right to the bone.
Oh, wow.
I just picked him up and I went to the first house and I knocked on the door and I said, "Faye, I need help."
Yeah.
Took him in, laid him on the couch, and the doctor come and sewed his head up, and that was it. But that's the kind of town it was.
Right.
If it would have happened in Van Dorn's,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been the same thing. If it would have happened clear east or west of town, I would have known everybody. So it was the kind of town where you could knock on the door and you could get help.
Wow.
And there was no questions. Why do you want in, or what's the problem? They just took you in.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then I tell my family, and a lot of people don't feel like this, but I tell my family what I want on my headstone is Terry had a lot of friends, and he tries to make a new one every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, I've made 2 today.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
so that's the way I've always been.
Right. So very tight-knit community.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
All right. And were there a lot of community happenings, community events? Were there?
Yeah. Oh, there, of course, right here, because this was the National Guard Armory at that time.
Right.
This was always the rodeo dance. Most
the rodeo
of the time,
dance.
yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times the rodeo dance was held here. A lot of Christmas dances. Any social event that the Army would let people come in was held right here.
Okay. So lots of social events here.
Lots of social events. We would have, of course, in school there was the homecoming everything. What did they call the little where the girls pick the boys?
Sadie Hawkins.
Sadie Hawkins. There was always that. There were many of those trips. Where we would leave here in a science class and we would go clear out to Wilson Creek, maybe, which is between here and Meeker, on field trips. So there was always something going on at Craig.
Wow. Okay.
And sometimes maybe it was something maybe you weren't interested in or didn't enjoy.
Right.
But normally before the day was over, you liked it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
that's really cool.
yeah.
Do you remember anything about I don't know if they were county or just the city fairs?
Oh, sure.
The fairs?
Yeah, Moffat County Fair, of course. For a long time, they didn't have the fair and the rodeo and things together. They would have the rodeo, and then they would have.
Oh, the rodeo. Okay.
But the rodeo, that was always huge. That was always huge.
Okay.
Steamboat and Meeker, they always had theirs on the 4th of July. So Craig always was a little after that, so they would get some of the people here.
Right.
But rodeos and rodeo dances, and a lot of time that wasn't to see who the best bronc rider was, or who the prettiest girl was that was a rodeo queen, but it was when the guys got to drinking a little too much, it was to see who was the toughest.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And that was from the booze.
Right.
That's what was talking.
Right.
We called it then loudmouth soup.
But that was common.
Oh yeah, that was common. Yeah, a lot of times they would go from this door to that Safeway parking lot across the street, and that's where the fights would be.
Oh, so not far at all.
No, across the street.
Right. Okay.
And very few people were arrested, because normally a fight was bang, bang, bang. Okay, let's grab another drink.
Right.
Then they were buddies again, so
Right.
they'd come back in and dance some more and drink some more, and then maybe go fight again.
And no one thought anything of it?
No. Very seldom did anybody go to jail for fighting.
Wow.
Until I was a senior in high school, I never saw anybody arrested for fighting.
Wow.
I mean, just kids.
Right.
Grown men, that's a different deal, but
Yeah.
yeah. But
Testosterone for the kids.
What it amounted to, you really behaved yourself because you didn't want the sheriff or the police chief taking you home.
Right.
Because you didn't want to face the music at home.
Right.
Yeah. And we had good sheriffs,
Right.
through the years. Sheriff Krieger and Sheriff Terrell and Sheriff Lawton and Sheriff, you just keep naming them, So really, really good police officers and good
Okay.
sheriffs.
Not a lot of troublemakers, though.
No. Well, I'll give you a little history of
All right.
troublemakers.
All right.
There was three young men, two of them in my class, and one that should have been a year ahead of me, but I don't think he ever graduated. But the three of them decided one night they wanted a little excitement, and they'd been drinking. They found some dynamite. I don't know if they broke in someplace, got dynamite, or what, but they were driving around town setting off dynamite.
Oh.
Yeah. Light a couple sticks, throw it out on the street, boom, and pretty exciting. Well, all went really well until they made this corner right here, and they threw a couple sticks of dynamite in the front door of the armory.
Oh my God.
That's U.S. property.
Yeah.
This boy can go to Sam. Well, they all went to Canyon City for 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a huge deal. That's the first
Yeah.
kids I ever knew that went to prison.
Wow. They threw dynamite right in the armory door.
Right in the armory, just blew the doors right out of the armory.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So, and there were other places around town where it blew chunks of curb out.
Right.
But when you blew the doors off the armory, they were in trouble. And two of them ended up really good citizens, really had good jobs, raised a lot of family. One of them, I don't know if he's alive or not, but he never amounted to anything.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So, little fights to large
yeah.
explosions. But
Oh yeah. Yeah. But that's in all the years that I lived here, I think I only knew of two murders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one was a young girl that was just here for the summer, and there was a carnival in town. A couple of those guys took her out south of town and raped her and murdered her and left her.
Wow.
It was horrible. I couldn't believe that would happen in this town.
Yeah.
And then there was 1 years after that, but I think everybody kind of knew what happened there.
Right. Right. Wow. Do you have any memories of dragging Maine?
Oh, yeah.
Before it was one way.
Oh yeah. This it used to be from a block south of this, like down here. And that was really gas was on that corner there.
Oh right.
So you turn around there and you go back up and you go right to the front of the high school, which was North Tampa. And then you come back down and then you turn left and you go out as far as the rodeo grounds. And then you turn around and you go back and you go out as far as the Safeway is now and you turn around and come back.
Right.
And that was it. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I've still got a car in my garage right now. It's just exactly like the car I had when I was in high school.
Oh.
49 Plymouth. Oh yeah. And one time I got a bill for $28 for gas, and I thought, how in the world? $14 a week? No, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, $28 gas bill.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's no way I could use that gas, but my name was on every ticket. $2 here. That's when gas was 28, 29 cents a gallon.
Right.
You think, well, it's not many gallons. Well, it is if you figure 28 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah.
Gas guzzler.
Yeah. So lots of dragging Maine.
Lots of dragging.
Yeah.
Wow. I was speaking with Peggy Huff.
Sure.
Not too long ago, and she mentioned something about water fights or water balloon fights on Maine.
Well, I didn't get into that too much because I always had to be in bed early.
Oh, okay.
Getting up early.
Right.
But a water balloon story that I'm sure somebody probably will tell you. But in I think it was 1957 or 57, I think, the bus, which is taking all the seniors, and I think they were headed for Steamboat to swim, and they get right out here, just topping the hill right out here, and somebody in another class takes a water balloon and throws it at the bus, and it goes right through the windshield into the driver's lap. Needless to say, that trip is over right there.
Wow.
Yeah, it could have been deadly.
Whoa, so it kind of got out of hand.
It got out of hand. And one balloon, and you don't think much about a balloon that big, but you take that much weight, and it just took the windshield right out of that little school bus.
Wow.
Yeah, so it could have been bad. So balloon, that's close to a balloon fight.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you do? What did you do after high school then?
Well, after high school, I worked about 8 months in oil field in Wyoming,
Okay.
and then I went to work at the service station that I worked at while I was in high school. I went back to work for them, and then a year or two after that, I went to work for C&H Distributing, which was Coors,
Oh, right.
and I worked there 15 years.
Wow. At Coors Distributing.
That was C&H, and if anybody else mentioned that, that stands for Crossweight and Harding.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Crossweight and Harding.
Crossweight and Harding. Wow.
And Crossweight ended up getting out of the business, and he had the Yampa Valley Dairy. That's where he went after, and then Harding had they had that business by themselves.
Right.
And then I left there, and I worked for Caldwell Coal,
Okay.
the coal mine out south,
Caldwell.
running heavy equipment.
Do you remember what years that was?
That was 77.
So during the boom.
77 to about I guess 81, something like that, 82.
Exactly during the boom. Okay.
Yeah. And then I went to work for Coca-Cola, and I worked there 15 years.
Coca-Cola. Oh, okay.
I tell people, my jobs, I've sold everything you can eat, drink, or burn.
That seems like it. Very interesting.
In between there, like I say, I worked over here at Safeway, and then of course we lived in Fernal for 2 years in the 60s, and we had of course then we just had the two boys.
Right.
And it was the same way there. I worked for Coors, and I worked at a service station. I worked at a grocery store. So I've always had 2 or 3 jobs.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Hard worker.
Oh, that's the only thing I've known.
That's
the only thing. I've never heard anything but that.
Right. All of the jobs are interesting, but if you don't mind, if we talk specifically about Kalawaya,
Okay.
what was Craig like first? Just Craig in general during that boom.
Well, Craig, of course, they'd already, kind of parts of the plant, they're getting all that
Right.
ready to go. But as far as the town goes, I mean, they were building new homes, which hadn't been a lot of new homes for years and years.
So new homes being built.
Yeah. And the tax bracket was really good, because there was a lot of these big companies paying the city and county tax.
Right.
So
right.
that helped immensely.
Right.
So the value of property went up a lot, and that was a great thing, because there were so many years that Craig was stagnant. I mean, there just wasn't much here.
Right.
They would try to get something new, and about the time they got something new, whoever was the powers to be said, "I don't think we want that."
Yeah.
Like the local college here.
Right.
We should have had that. We should have had the first one that they ever put in this country, the community college.
Right.
But somebody said, no, we don't want it. So the first one went, of course, to Seagold, and the next one went to Rangeley, and the next one went to Glenwood, and finally...
And eventually came here.
Many, many years later, we finally got it.
Right.
But Colwell, Trapper Mine, Empire Energy, all those mines had a huge part of the way Craig is today.
Right.
Some of the changes were really good. Some of them not so much,
Right.
People say, well, we want our little town the way it was. Well, you can't have it both ways.
Right. Right.
You either have progress or you just get stagnant.
Right.
And it blows up, dries up, blows away.
Right.
I think with the coal mine, I know at Colwell there were 7 of us that went to work initially up there, and pretty quick it was 40, and pretty quick it was 50. We went from 1 shift to 2 shifts.
Right.
And then pretty quick it was 100, and we went from 2 shifts to 3 shifts. And we went, when I first went to work out there, it was $14.75 an hour, and that was huge wages then.
Right.
And then I think probably later it probably went to 70 or 80 an hour.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Some of those guys running their drag lines and the big equipment. And out there, I ran everything but the drag line and the crane, and every other piece of equipment I was certified on.
Wow. So you do everything.
And I was an EMT besides.
Oh.
The only one there for a long time. And that can get really antsy.
Yeah.
When they say shut your machine off, we've got to go, I used to get about half sick to my stomach. You know?
Right.
And as soon as I got a little blood on me, that's fine. You know, I just what you were taught kind of kicks in, and you do your thing. But all in all, the coal mines where I worked and all the rest of them, it was huge for Moffat County.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
For the schools and for the town and everything.
Right.
That's the reason we got several newer, not brand new schools, but one up here at Yapa, you know, was a newer school.
Right. What were some of those more negative side effects that you alluded to a little bit? I'll be right back.
Okay.
You can talk to her.
The negative thing, I think, was the influx of people that really didn't care about our town. The people that just moved in, and the drugs, and alcohol abuse, and child abuse, and the police. It got right during that time. The influx of illegals were so great that they even built a special building down on Victory Way to house those people until they could get buses in here and bus them back to Mexico. It was horrible. It was horrible. Some of those people were coming up. Why were they here? Because they were starving to death in Mexico. It was horrible. I used to feel so bad. Those people would spend every dime they had to get here, and they wouldn't be here maybe sometimes 2 or 3 days. They'd pick them up and send them back. It was bad. And at that time, that's when a lot of stabbings, a lot of shootings. Down the street here at Mather's Bar. I don't know if anybody's brought up that word Mather's Bar down at the end of the...
A little bit.
Well, one time down there, you know, the guys went out after hours, and here's a dead guy laying in the street. Somebody stabbed him and left him dead right there in the alley. But I was just telling her there were so many, in the negative things that happened with the influx of people and the drugs, and the alcohol abuse and the child abuse, and all of those kind of things went on. And I think as far as negative things, they were so few, but that was a huge one. You know, I was just telling you, so many of those people would come up here to Mexico, and they built a special building to house them, and then they'd wait until they got a busload, then they'd send them all back to Mexico.
Wow.
And they'd spend every dime they had to get here.
Right.
And why did they want to be here? Because they were starving to death in Mexico.
Right.
And most of them were hard workers. Most of them did work that nobody else would do. And I always had a lot of appreciation, a lot of respect for them, because they did. They were hard-working people.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't believe that. You know, so.
Wow. So what would you describe? It's been described by a few people as a pretty tough community at that time. Not because of the people who had been here, but
oh yeah. Well, like I say, you bring the power plant, the coal mines. There were probably I'd say 50 to 60% of those people weren't from here.
Oh right.
You know, they were from out of state, and they were used to this, used to that, and when the alcohol and the drugs, that kind of comes with that.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Matter of fact, I had a young man that worked for me at Coca-Cola for a couple of years, and I couldn't figure out, just saving my soul, because I knew how much money he was making, how he had a new car and a new trailer and all this stuff. Come to find out, he was hauling drugs from Phoenix to here. On the weekend, he'd make a trip 30 Phoenix and back to bring drugs.
Wow.
And I finally found that out. And of course, he didn't know what he was history. But those are some of the things that were happening.
Right.
When I was growing up here, grass was something you mowed on Saturday. Dope was some kid that wasn't too smart in school.
Right.
And drugs were aspirin and that wasn't even Tylenol then. It was aspirin and Anacin.
Right.
So we saw a lot of changes there. I think the things that kind of more bothered more people in Craig than anything is where they had a nice home out here someplace, and they went right across the street and built an apartment building with about 15 apartments in it, and people were screaming and hollering all night driving them down the street.
Right.
And where we lived, where I raised my family, was right on the street going up to the high school. So everybody that went up that road was just, you had to learn to live with it.
Right.
The noise and
right. Yeah. What was it like raising a family?
Well, every one of my children graduated from Moffat County High School, and every one of them. And when I was going to school here, I wished I could have raised my children in the 50s.
Right.
You know, it was a little different, and then of course the problems that my children would get into were a little different than what I would have got into when I was growing up.
Right.
But in general, I'll tell you what, it was a good place to raise children.
Okay.
You know, all of my children, I think with exception of one, she didn't like school too much, and she went on to be a nurse and has a really good job in a Alzheimer's unit in Grand Junction right now. So she finally did learn how to study. But
right.
no, I think all of them, and like I tell people, I never ever agreed with the alcohol and smoking and the drug thing. And I think in my 4 kids, they've probably tried more than I would want to know.
Right.
But none of them drink, none of them smoke, and none of them been in jail.
Right.
So that's huge.
Right. Yeah. So it was a pretty positive experience.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, what would you guys do for recreation? Just kind of to relax outside of work or outside of school?
Well, you know, of course, like I say, when I was growing up, there was no swimming pool.
Right.
So when the fortification creek was high in the spring, we'd spend a lot of time in the creek. And then when the creek got low, we'd go down to Yampa River.
Oh, right.
And we'd swim down there. And it was swimming there, and of course, Craig, from way back, has had a beautiful city park. And they always had tennis court. They always had a couple basketball courts. They always had lots of shade. That's where the Boy Scout hut was at the city park.
Oh.
So if you were involved in scouts, we spent a lot of time there. So it was, you know, basketball, swimming in the river, the creek, and just making your own fun.
Right.
You know, I remember growing up just having a stick, and that was your gun. You know, you'd run around up in these gravel pits playing army.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I don't think you could have asked for anything better.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe sometimes I thought maybe a little smaller, but if you needed smaller, then you didn't have a full basketball team or a full baseball team or.
Yeah. But not too bad.
Yeah. Oh no, it was great.
Okay. What led you to, if you don't mind me asking, what led you to leave Colorado and move into Coca-Cola, working there?
Well, family life.
Okay.
Because it wasn't fair to my wife to be a single parent.
Okay. So family life.
And because I was working 7 days, and then I'd work 7 swings, and I'd work 7 graveyards. So on graveyards and on swings, I didn't see much of my family.
Right.
So 2 out of every 3 weeks, my wife was there most of the time by herself, trying to raise 4 kids.
Right.
It wasn't fair to her, and it wasn't fair to me.
Right.
And so I'd come back to town and had a company truck. I was 2 minutes from work instead of having to leave an hour early to get to work. So it was a lot of guys say, well, they made more money out there than any place else. Well, I didn't.
Yeah. It wasn't worth the lost family time.
No.
Right.
And when I resided out there, the guy that I mean, he did studies all over the world for these companies, and he said, you know what, I don't blame you. They decided to do the same thing. So I felt good about leaving. Yeah. And of course, people out there said, well, you're crazy. You'll never find another job like this. No, and I didn't want a job like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the demands on the family were pretty rough while you were.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right.
You needed to be there. You needed to be able to keep a handle on what was going on in your house.
Right. What was it like just being an employee of Call a While, though?
Oh, it was good. Yeah. Yeah. You never ever missed a paycheck. When it was payday, when you went through the gate, you got your paycheck, and it was a great place to work as far as paychecks.
Right.
But when you got off a bus and you were ready to get on your piece of equipment at midnight, and you were going to work until 8 the next morning, and people ask you, how's it going? There's no question how it goes.
Right.
It sucks.
Right.
have to go to work at that time of day.
Yeah.
Now, hoot owls, that's a good job for hoot owl, but not for human beings. It's not.
Right.
There's only one thing worse than working in a strip mine at night. It's working in underground coal mining.
Wow.
And I did a little underground gold mining, and that was a horrible job.
Wow.
Oh, horrible job. Because everything's heavy, vigilant, and everything's dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's really interesting. So after the boom, there was a little bit of a bust for a while.
Oh
there.
yeah.
What did Craig look like?
Well, Craig, what happened to us, you know, and it wasn't all bad because Craig really, you know, when the power, all the power plants were done.
Right, all three.
Oh yeah, and then that you could really see things going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, Steamboat was just growing crazy. They were just getting more and more and more things going every day. The ski areas, the recreation, everything. So Steamboat really was, at one time, it was probably, I'd say 60-70% of all of our business was Routt County.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was because of the ski hill.
Right.
People would move they would move up here, and a lot of them would like to live here, but there wasn't much to do in Craig. So normally the wife would say, I don't want to live in this little town. I want to go someplace where there's restaurants, activities. So a lot of them moved to Steamboat.
Right.
But Routt County was huge for as far as business goes.
Okay. Wow. So Steamboat really growing as Craig was declining.
Right.
And then how did it eventually come out of this bust?
I don't think really, even to this day, I don't think Craig's come completely back.
Oh, okay.
No, I think right now Craig, right now when Craig gets a buyer's market as far as real estate.
Right.
If you've got something for sale, somebody's going to try to negotiate and get the prices lower immediately. And normally, to sell something, that's what you have to do.
Right.
You have to bring the prices down. So, no, the bust, I don't think is. I don't think it's still here, but I don't think it's still ever stabilized.
Okay.
I think probably that there was a period in the 60s where it was really stable. We had the same businesses, the same people, but when you have a big influx of people and all those people at these plants, buildings, they all made a lot of money and they spent a lot of money.
Mm.
When that was gone, that was hard. And some of those people, now believe it or not, some of those people lived here. They put a lot of money down on homes, apartments, stuff like this, condos. When they left here, some of those $100,000 or maybe $150,000 things were selling for $25,000 or $30,000.
Wow.
It was terrible. Matter of fact, I had a friend and his wife. They ended up with 28 different pieces of property in this town, apartments and condos and stuff like that. Because they were buying it for nothing. Mm-hmm. So, and that was hard. To see those people, and the people, what they do is they load their personal belongings in their vehicle, they leave town. They never get any money out of it. They just lost everything you put in. That's bad.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what happens to most towns when it's bust.
Mm.
You know, it's like that. But and like I say, you don't want to mean-mouth the powers to be. That if the powers to be in this town would have just had a little more foresight on what they were doing and how they were doing things, they should have started doing things like Steamboat was doing and like Moab, Utah. Have you been to Moab, Utah?
Drove through it on the way here.
Moab, Utah, when I used to go there, was like it was bad. Just a wide spot in the road, a little wildlife activity, and a uranium thing. Mm. But I'll tell you what, they got the right planning committee there. And Moab, Utah is one of the busiest towns in Utah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's growing every day. There's bicycles or Jeep runs or car shows or every day river trips. And Craig could have done that. Mm. We had the facilities. A big thing in this town from the 15th of October till the 1st of November when I was growing up was hunting season. It was huge. Yeah. You know, there were people come all over the country to here.
Wow. And they didn't market it the right way.
No, they didn't. And of course now most of it's guide outfitting or trespass. If you pay some guy $500 to go through his fence to see if you find a deer.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, hunting's not the same. Do you hunt?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot of dead animals on my wall.
Yeah, and it's much different.
Oh yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Now there's still some places you can hunt openly.
Right.
You just government ground.
Where are those, if you don't mind me asking?
Great Divide.
Great Divide.
Black Mountain. There's still some of that that's open.
Okay.
South of here in the White River National Forest, that's open. White River, Routt National Forest. There's still a lot of ground. But now, with the hunting, there's so many people that you really have to be careful when you go out in the woods, because orange vests, the sun comes up and you start looking, there's orange vests there, and there's one over there, and there's one over here. And you don't know where the animals are if people start shooting.
You really have to be careful.
Oh, yeah.
And those guided tours are apparently taking over, people say?
The guided hunts.
Guide hunts.
Yeah, the guided hunts are huge, because I can remember growing up here, there maybe was one or two guys that did actually was an outfitter. I don't know for sure, but I'll bet you there's maybe 12, 18 in Craig.
Oh my gosh! All right.
Outfitters. They take people out, and most of those people, and some ranchers have gone from making no money with their livestock and with their crops to taking hunters. They make more money hunting than they do raising animals or product.
That's what I spoke with Bob Baker yesterday, and that's exactly what he was saying, is that they make more money.
Oh, sure.
Make more money doing the trespassing fee?
Well, trespassing or guiding, to taking some guy out and setting him someplace. And, it's huge business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are people still coming from all over, or?
You know what, and that's changed because they've changed a lot of the rules. Now you have to have preference points to hunt a lot of areas. Like to get a buck license and buck deer license, you have to have, like, I don't know, I think some places it's 12, 14 years it takes you to get a license. So a guy my age, I probably won't get out a license.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you're 50, you might get one by the time you're 64.
Wow.
If you're 73 like me, probably not.
Wow.
So, but it's huge business.
Right. Right.
And matter of fact, there was a bear in here that a local young man shot. That's one of those world record black bears that he shot between here and Meeker. It was 703-pound black bear. And he went back in the bear's den and shot it and drug it out of the hole.
Wow.
Now I think he's not maybe quite all right. That's pretty scary business.
Yeah. Wow. By Meeker, you said?
Between here and Meeker, it was down around. I don't know if it was.
That is a very large bear.
Yeah.
Bear in general.
And you know what? Yeah, that's not a bad size. Brown bear. It's a black bear.
Right.
Grizzly, they'll get 1,100, 1,200
Even
pounds.
bigger, yeah.
But a black bear.
Usually smaller, right?
It's in normally they're 400 or 500 pounds. It's huge. But the kid that killed him has got him on loan at Sportsman's Warehouse down in Grand Junction. The prettiest bear I think I've ever seen.
Wow.
I've seen some huge giant brown bear and grizzlies.
Right.
But this thing is.
Grizzlies here?
No.
Oh.
No. Just in museums.
Oh, right.
And I know a guy personally in Vernon that's hunted all over the world.
Oh, okay.
And he's got big Kodiaks, and he had one standing, and he had a 14-foot ceiling, and this bear was on a little pedestal about that big, and this bear didn't miss the roof very far. And weighed 1,297 pounds, and he was a springtime bear.
Wow.
So he'd lost all that weight all winter. He still weighed that much. I mean, this thing was giant.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So, I mean, I know that hunting was really a major, or is still a fairly major draw for Craig, but even that's been more commercialized.
I was lucky because, 1953 was the first deer I shot. From 53 till about 83, we had some ground north of Hayden. And it was nothing to see 10 or 12 really big trophy bucks and a lot of elk.
Wow.
And both my boys were able to go with me during that time and hunt. And they both enjoyed the fire hunting, and we were really fortunate. And of course, I tell my boys about the hunting I used to, and they say, "Well, I wish I could have been there then." But they both killed the game with some nice bucks, and I've been able to do it. So that was a huge part of our life.
Right.
Hunting season was always something that everybody looked forward to.
Right.
Not the wives so much, or the girls. Because my daughters used to say, I'd come in the door and my daughters would say, "Dad, did you catch anything?" Like I was fishing,
Yeah. Is fishing still? Do you still fish?
No, you know what? I don't. I never have. My dad waited till he was about 65, and then he finally decided to fish. And then he couldn't get enough of it. My folks would go out maybe a week or 10 days at a time and park by some lake and just fish until they were just tired of fishing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And maybe one day I will.
I just don't know, because I know a lot of people fish, especially with the Yampa. They keep.
Oh yeah.
good fishing down there.
In the fishing, I don't know what the fish situation is down there, but they used to have some of the, what's the name of the fish? Oh, Joan. The name of the big fish in the Yampa with all the teeth. No. Bigger.
Big fish with all the teeth.
I mean these two. No, they're the predator. The ones that eat all the trout.
Swordfish?
No.
The humpback chub?
No. Keep it going. But anyway, these fish, they planted them clear up, way upriver, like this size steamboat, and these fish have migrated, and you'll catch one a lot of times. There'll be a 10, 12-inch trout in these fish.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they've got a jaw on them about like that. The head is about that long.
Is it like a barracuda?
No, kind of looks like a barracuda. It's one of those you don't want to reach in with your hand, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Predator fish.
Oh, what is it? Joan, come on. Oh.
I'm going to look that up. That's really interesting.
Oh, yeah. If you get in some of the papers, there's a lot of guys that have caught these those big fish in the Yampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up soon. That's interesting. I didn't know there were anything like that.
Oh, I'm going to tell you what. They're an eating machine.
Mm.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when I was growing up, they were just suckers and carp and trout in the river.
Right.
I never worried about those getting you. But jumping off the river now, I'm not so sure. I want to jump off one of those big holes right now.
Right.
Fish bait.
Right. Just kind of, I guess, to close everything out, how would you describe Craig today, or in the last 10 years and up?
Well, you know, the last 11 years we've been gone. We lived in Vernal and in Grand Junction now.
Oh, right.
But I would say right now that Craig's looking up.
Okay.
I think it's getting to the point where the people at the power plant are going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
The people that own homes are going to be here. I do know there's a lot of vacant homes, you know, that there are in about any town. You know, you've got people moving in and out with jobs or whatever. But no, right now I think it's good. I think Craig has tried to kind of clean up the main street.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the wintertime here, unless you live here in the winter or in the spring, you know, lots of snow, and they put a lot of sand and salt down on the streets. So by the time spring gets here, there's about this much sand in the gutters.
Wow.
You know, and then when it starts to thaw out, they take the big sweeper and they sweep it up and they take it out and they dump it back in the pile, you know. But I think it's good. I think our road department, the city road department, I think the water plant, I think the sewer plant, I think they're all as good as most any town this size.
Right.
I would rate them. I would rate them as high as Vernal or Steamboat.
Wow.
You know.
Right.
Yeah. So good guys, good supervisors, good people to work for and with.
Right.
Yeah.
Things are looking up.
Oh yeah. I think it is. Matter of fact, we'd like to move back.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Grand Junction, it's a nice place, but I'll tell you what, it's too hot.
Really?
Oh.
Is it hotter than?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's why Joan's here instead of in Grand Junction. She's got a home down there too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I didn't realize it was that much warmer.
And we've had about maybe 2 minutes of rain in the last 6 weeks, maybe 2 minutes. Downtown once well they'll get a little storm, but where we live just right on the edge. We're in Grand Junction, but we're really closer to Fruta. But it's been hot. And if you don't have air conditioning in your home, or you have a swamp cooler, and you have a swamp cooler and you have it turned up high, then you're sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swamp coolers. We're from the desert, so we know about that.
And if you don't know what that heat and that water does to you, first time I was ever in a place where there was humidity was Dallas, Texas. We got there 2 o'clock in the morning with a load of furniture for my daughter, my youngest, and the next morning about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we got up and started unloading. And I thought I was getting sick as the sweat is running down the inside of my pant legs, and I'm thinking, what is wrong? I'd never experienced that before.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't for humidity.
You know, it's like here. You know, if it gets a little hot, you can find a shady spot. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's some places in the shade is still 112.
Yeah. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. Do you have anything else you want to add, or?
But in your book,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if Dan or Janice showed it to you, but there's a book in here that has it's an Empire Courier thing that this company did years ago, and they went from door to door, and they would say, when they come to my folks' house, they said, okay, your name's Russ Winslow, and I'd say yes, and said, where you work? Moffat County. Okay, and your wife's Levita, and you've got 4 sons, yes. Do you own your home or not? Your phone number, your address. This book has got more information in it, and I'm telling you, and this was early 60s that they did this. And when I go to the class reunion, I've been to the last 5. I'm not going to make this year's, but it is so cool to look through that book and find their old phone numbers and say, do you remember your phone number?
Right.
Remember your street address?
Right.
And of course, no, most of those I knew, but the phone numbers and stuff like that, or how many brothers and sisters, and this whole thing.
Right.
It really is a cool book.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I come in and I saw the book one day, and I told Dan, I said, I've got to have that book. It's not for sale. I said, no, I'm going, I don't want it. So I went all over Craig talking to people that I thought may have one.
Mm-hmm.
So I come back down there and said, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll just copy it for you. So he did.
That works.
Oh man, I'm telling you what, and it's just like looking through a history book.
Right.
You know, and I've got, Jen, I forgot to bring her that annual too, but I've got, I think I had, of course, my 4 in high school, my wife's 4 in high school, and then I think I bought 8 or 10 or 12 more. So I've got classes like from 1947 to about 85 or 86.
Oh, wow.
A lot of history there.
Yeah.
So when these people start looking for their classmates, I just go back to the book.
Right.
And then if you knew who they were related to or who they were close friends with, then you can find people.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been kind of a little detective, you know. I try to find different people for these guys.
Yeah.
So, and it's always been fun for me. So.
All right. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, do.
That's interesting.
Yeah, in the book, I'm telling you, there's more information in it.
Mm.
There's a lot of advertisements, you know, for all the local places to run business in. But the names, you know, it even has a place, just one section that is phone numbers and addresses, but in the one section where it gives fathers' names, mothers' names, siblings, if they're in college or if they're not, or whatever. All
right.
That's in there.
Wow. Interesting.
So that book would do huge, help you huge.
Yeah, I think
especially
so.
if you're looking for other people to interview.
Thank you.
So have you interviewed a lot of people?
So you're the 24th.
There you go. Good.
Yeah, we're aiming for around 70.
Okay.
So trying to get some work done.
So, and then you're going to put all this, are you going to put all this in book form or just on the internet? Or?
It's going to be on internet. So it's all going to be digitized and accessible through the internet. So you can see it all there.
So we're looking at a year down the road to get all this put together?
Oh, I don't think a year.
That's
I anticipate quite a few of it being up before we're gone in August.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be too long.
So you'll let these guys know so when we come in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. We're working with Mary Pat on getting it online, so it should all be on there soon.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I'll go finish my